Hey, it's Anathea, Leaders of Love. How are you doing? This is your Divine Feminine Educator bringing you some information and wisdom in this video about communication, improving your communication. So I want to share with you 3 tips about how to become aware of what you're doing and also become a better communicator. All right. So we had a great circle the other night, Wednesday night, in our Leaders of Love group in my Sacred Zoom room, when we talked in detail about this idea of improving your communication and things that you do that disconnect you from others. So I'm going to just cover 3. Number 1 is the use of the word always, never, and everything. I'm going to go into more detail about that. Number 2 is, because there's 5 of them, but I only have time for 3 right now. Number 2 is the use of the word you as opposed to I. And the last one is repeating back what the other person said. So let me go into each one of these in detail. These are really important to really become aware of and understand how you communicate. You see, communication is the highest form of education. And if you want a healthy relationship, if you want to feel less isolated, some people feel like lonely in relationship, but if you want to have more connection and feel more love between you and another, you need to get good communication skills. And we did not learn it from our family of origin. You see, from our family of origin, this is in our whole culture, we speak head talk, okay? And we don't even really know it. What you need to learn is heart talk. And that will rock your world. That will change your relationships. That's another subject. What I'm going to give you are 3 tips on how to start moving towards becoming aware of speaking heart talk. Okay, so number 1 is the use of everything, never, and always. Okay, so he never appreciates me, or you never appreciate me. You're always leaving socks in the middle of the living room. You're always making a mess. Everywhere, everywhere, everything, always, never. The use of these words will consciously or unconsciously shut down the person you love. Start becoming diligently aware of when you use these words. You're always yelling, or you're always shutting down. You never talk to me. We never have any time together. Is that the truth? It's not the truth. And when you say these words, what you're doing is you're not creating an opening for a new possibility in your relationship. So become aware of those limiting phrases that won't get you what you want, which is more love and connection in your relationships. Your words and the choices of words that you use are powerful, and they will make all the difference in whether you're feeling love or not, in whether you're drawing more love towards you or literally pushing it away. The use of always, never, everything pushes love away. Become aware of that. Okay, what did I say I want to do? 2 is you versus I. That goes back to the always, never, and everything. You are a pain in the butt. I can't believe you did that. Stop doing that. Everything is about the other person and nothing is about you. This is really backwards if you want to have a healthy relationship, okay? So instead of, like, for example, you hurt me is quite different than I feel hurt. I feel hurt is your truth. Nobody can take your truth away from you. I feel hurt. And using I statements takes away the blame. It's not pointing fingers at another. If you really want connection, and if someone did hurt you, don't say, you hurt me. I can't believe you hurt me like that. I can't believe you did that to me. That's pushing love away. Step up, open your heart, be a little more vulnerable. Tell the truth. I feel hurt. So I statements communicate without blame. They are direct and honest and authentic. They actually help you to take responsibility for what's happening inside you and letting the other person in on the secret. But in order to do that, you first need to be in tune with what's actually going on. Stop projecting all your pain out there and start taking ownership of it. Stop making the other person, oh, I don't mean to be beating you up. I'm sorry, but I'm getting on my bandwagon. This is so important. Start using I statements. Don't make that other person that you love dearly responsible for your feelings. Feel them. Let them know. I remember one time with one of my lovers, my beloved, he was triggering me up one side and down the other. I always use my peeps as my practice partners. You have to have the courage to practice these principles with those you love. Don't go back to the old patterns. It's so easy just to go back to the old patterns. He said something and I tuned in. It triggered me and I tuned in. And I could have just reacted back, right? But I slowed down, I tuned in, and I said to him, my whole body is freezing up. Because that's what, when I tuned in, that's what was actually happening. Had I not tuned in, my words would have taken over. I would have snapped back. And I said, I'm going to go in the other room and tune in for a moment. And when it was interesting because when I got out of his energy field and I went into the other room, it was very clear what I needed. It didn't take long. I stepped away gracefully, came back, and then we had a discussion. And I was very clear on what actually happened. But number one, I had to tune into me. Number two, I had to get out of his energy field. Being an empath, I had to literally get out of his energy field in order to get clear of what was really happening inside of me. So these I statements, as opposed to you, is a powerful tool to cultivate and develop what I call I awareness. And I awareness is not selfish, it's empowering. When you step into I awareness, you're not pointing fingers, you're not speaking with blame towards those you love. You see, our relationships are tender, our hearts are vulnerable. And we need to, our relationships are sacred, and we need to hold them in care and love. And that's what this whole thing called Heart Talk is all about, that I teach. All right, what was the third one that I wanted to give you? This is a really good one. Repeat back, especially when you're in challenging conversations with those you love, and there's temper rising, and there's confusion, and emotions are surfacing, uncomfortable emotions. First, well, if you're really triggered, you need to step away and process your emotions. But during a conversation, if it is a challenging conversation, you know, often what happens is we can't wait for that person to finish what they're talking about so that we can give our point of view. So then it becomes a power struggle and boom, boom, back and forth, right? That's not communication. That's not love. That's power struggle. There's no room for juiciness because you're like this, right? So instead, in conversation, let the person say what they're saying. Be receptive. And instead of sitting there waiting so that you can respond back, take a breath. Absorb what they said. Maybe you don't even agree with it. But say this: what I'm hearing you say is, and then repeat back to them what they just said. This what helps you slow down the conversation, get your ego out of the way, and creates a space for connection. And what I find very interesting, because you can do it the other way as well, when you're saying something, you can say, you know, I'd really like for you to repeat back what I just said so that I make sure that you really understood what I'm actually trying to convey. You see, all of us, believe it or not, are not very good communicators. What we are really good at is misunderstanding each other, giving each other the wrong signals, interpreting and receiving the wrong signals from others because of our own projections, because of our own insecurities, because of our own fears. So this idea of repeating back what you just heard, or lovingly asking the other person, you know, I'd really like to have you repeat back what I said, because I want to make sure that I conveyed that correctly to you, and that what I'm trying to really say to you is being understood. This is a beautiful, when you do this really heart-centered, it's a beautiful way, because what it is the implementation of curiosity. So in relationships, become curious. If someone says something that triggers you, you have to say, you know, I'm curious, why did you say that? And don't say, why did you say that? You know, I'm just curious, what made you, you know, mention that or say that? If you can stay calm and you can regulate your own discomfort. See, love, you create space for love when you can regulate your own emotions in relationship. So repeat back, use the tool of repeating back, but don't do it as a technique. You know, this heart talk is a frequency, an energetic. So it doesn't really matter about the words, it really matters about the energy behind the words. All right, so let me repeat these 3 communication tips, and for you to really become aware of how you use them or don't use them. Number 1, become aware of how you are doing this this all-encompassing, always, never, everything, right? Number 2 is use the use of I instead of you. And number 3, repeat back and become curious about what others are saying to you, to make sure that you understand what they're saying. You'd be surprised how when you do that, how they say, well, that's not really what I meant at all. Or you say to them, well, that's not what I meant. When they repeat back, creates an opening for connection and understanding. All right. If you enjoyed this video and these communication tips, please share them. And I think that's all for now. So glad you're here. Use your people as practice partners. You have an opportunity every single day to open your heart or close it. Open other people's hearts or close them through the choices of your words and how you communicate. Learn the wise way, learn the heart-centered way, and your life will transform. Thanks for being here. Namaste.